This thing of darkness, I acknowledge mine. For me, this thing of darkness is shame. And my acknowledgement is my acceptance. So, I accept my shame as a part of me. This thing of darkness, I acknowledge mine. Is there something of darkness that you're ashamed of? Something that you want to forget? Something that you don't want anyone to know? Let's be honest. We all have things that we're ashamed of. Something that we don't want to acknowledge ours. Something that we want to keep secret. I know it's emotionally difficult to recall shame-filled memories, but I ask that you allow your secreted shame the freedom to enter your mind. Don't worry. I'm not going to ask any of you to reveal your darkness. You'll keep your shame private. What I want to explore is acceptance of this thing of darkness we call ours. There are two kinds of secreted shame. There's the shame that you feel when you have been a victim. And there's also the shame that you feel when you've been the victimizer. If your secreted shame comes from something that was done to you, do you want revenge? Justice? If your secreted shame comes from something that you did to another, are you filled with regret? Remorse? Do you wish you could go back in time and change the outcome? If your secreted shame comes from being a victim, do you wish you could have a release from the burden of hiding those painful memories? If your secreted shame comes from being a victimizer, do you hope for mercy, redemption, forgiveness? This thing of darkness, I acknowledge mine. Do you live in fear that your shame will be revealed? Do you fear someone will discover your secret shame? To what ends do you go to keep your shame hidden? It is difficult to embrace that of which we are most ashamed. It takes courage to go to that place where we keep our shame hidden in the shadows of our darkness, locked away from the light. But it is only when we face the deepest part of our humiliation and give voice to the pain of the shame that shame can no longer hold us hostage. When we speak truth to shame, we are released from bondage. I have been studying how I may compare this prison where I live unto the world. And because the world is populous, and here is not a creature but myself, I cannot do it. Yet I'll hammer it out. My brain I'll prove the female to my soul the father. And these two beget a generation of still breeding thoughts. And these same thoughts people this little world in humors, like the people of this world, for no thought is contented. The better sort, as thoughts of things divine, are intermixed with scruples, and do set the word itself against the word, as thus, come, little ones, and then again, it is as hard to come as for a camel to thread the postern of a small needle's eye. Thoughts tending to ambition, they do plot unlikely wonders. How these vain weak nails may tear a passage through the flinty ribs of this hard world, my ragged prison walls, and for they cannot die in their own pride. Thoughts tending to content flatter themselves that they are not the first of fortune's slaves, nor shall not be the last, like silly beggars who, sitting in the stocks, refuge their shame that many have and others must sit there. And in this thought they find a kind of ease, bearing their own misfortunes on the backs of such as have before endured the like. Thus play I in one person many people, and none contented. But whate'er I be, nor I, nor any man that but man is, with nothing shall be pleased till he be eased with being nothing. Music do I hear? Huh? Oh, keep time. Oh, how sorrow sweet music is when time is broken, no proportion kept. So is it in the music of men's lives. And here have I the daintiness of ear to check time broke in a disordered string. I wasted time, and now doth time waste me. This music mads me. Let it sound no more, for though it may help madmen to their wits, in me it seems it will make wise men mad. Yet, blessing on his heart it gives it me, for 'tis a sign of love, and love to Richard is a strange brooch in this all-hating world. Many of our incarcerated brothers and sisters living out their lives behind bars are locked in a vicious cycle of being victimized when they were children, then passing that victimization on by becoming victimizers themselves. My work in these cages of bondage where the worst of us are kept has to do with untangling the web of victim-victimizer for those held behind the razor wire, to assist them in their journey back into the chaos of their childhood, where they confront the abusive victimization that shaped them to believe this was the way the world was. I work to facilitate their understanding of how they became a reflection of their dysfunctional world and how this reflection led them to in turn become victimizers. It is through the process of understanding their past they come to take responsibility for the actions of abuse. This thing of darkness, I acknowledge mine. It is in this coming to know that they understand they don't have to be the crime they committed. They can be who they wish to become. This opens the door for the desire for forgiveness. But they can't ask their victims for forgiveness, because in asking them for forgiveness, they might cause their victims even further victimization. In coming to fully embrace forgiveness, they must first forgive those who victimized them. And when achieving this level of personal forgiveness, their potential for further perpetration as a victimizer is curtailed. Now, the possibility exists that they can become who they wish to be, and perhaps they might be forgiven by their victims. This thing of darkness, I acknowledge mine.
As you from crimes with pardon to be, let your indulgence set me free. What really speaks to me is the idea that indulgence, what he calls indulgence, is actually one of the most remarkable things in the world, and that's to redeem someone, to set them free, to redeem them of what they've done. That to me is the single greatest thing I've desired since October of 1994, is to be redeemed. And that's why that speaks to me so much, because I think Shakespeare understands that is probably, all of us in some way need to be redeemed of something that we've done. It's maybe just a matter of degree, and I grant you the degree that I need to be redeemed is much greater than your average person.
So, why are you here?
I sexually abused 7 girls. That's the worst thing I've ever done. I'm hoping to successfully complete the treatment program. And then after that, to be paroled. So that in some way being freely given a choice that I could live honorably and do something to make amends. Not necessarily directly to my victims, but in general. To redeem my life so that I am not remembered for the very worst thing that I've done, but that maybe somebody could look at the totality of my life and maybe have the scales balance. That to me would be a form of redemption for me. The people who need mercy the most are the ones who deserve it the least.
Ones who deserve it the least. I believe it is the attempt to live nobly for the commission of ignoble acts that nobility appears. Nobility lives in the attempt and not in the result. Nobility is the journey. Nobility is not the destination. We begin the process of healing through sharing our shame. We become a beacon of light that helps others find their way. We shine in the darkness. Others, living in their own shame, are called to the light. That is our redemption. If you are the victimizer, forgiveness from your victim of your shameful act might be impossible. But I believe you honor your victim when you face and embrace that part of you that lives in your shadow. This thing of darkness, I acknowledge mine. If you are a victim, from whence your shame emanates, forgiveness of your perpetrator is the only way to cease being a victim. Like Shakespeare, I believe in the power of language. I believe in the power of a single word. Like a 50-gallon wooden keg, a powerful word can hold other words, thus increasing the power of that word multifold. The word forgiveness is just such a word, for it holds faith, responsibility, mercy, grace, charity, salvation, redemption, pardon, penitence, confession, and blessing. These 11 words fill up the barrel of forgiveness. This thing of darkness, I acknowledge mine. Now my charms are all o'erthrown, and what strength I have's mine own, which is most faint. Now 'tis true, I must be here confined by you, or sent to Naples. Let me not, since I have my dukedom got, and pardon the deceiver, dwell in this bare island by your spell, but release me from my bands with the help of your good hands. Gentle breath of yours my sails must fill, or else my project fails, which was to please. Now I want spirits to enforce, art to enchant, and my ending is despair unless I be relieved by prayer, which pierces so that it assaults mercy itself and frees all faults. As you from crimes would pardoned be, let your indulgence set me free.